Hey, good morning, everybody. I think you can hear me. Yeah, just making sure, looking at the mic thing there, or the volume setting. Just making sure everything's working. Yeah, but welcome to this edition of Topics on My Mind. First of all, happy TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. It is Friday, July 10th. It's Friday, July 10th. We are literally, for me personally, 15 days away till I turn 41. Yes, I'm going to be 41 this month, meaning I am 9 years away from 50. So, yeah, let's not rush anything there, shall we? Anyway, though, I'm here to do this edition of Topics on My Mind for today. Like I said, Friday, July 10th. July 10th, 2020, if you will. And we got a lot to talk about. First of all, I'm gonna give you guys a bit of a heads up, if you will. Basically, several things from a family perspective will be happening. That's all I'm going to be saying. But yeah, from a family perspective, things are going to be happening that may or may not interfere with me doing some of my videos during the week, like tomorrow morning. Well, tomorrow morning, if I get up and do another video, it shouldn't affect it too much. But yeah, like I said, there's several things that are going to be happening, and that's all I'm going to say. So if I don't do a video tomorrow, or if I don't do a video throughout the week, live stream, that is, a live stream video, it's either because I'm working, and I might do a live stream during my lunch if I don't, just walk around and try to like catch a breather. Because one of the things I do during lunch before I even, get my phone and start videoing or live streaming is, just walk around, catch my breath, kind of collect myself, especially after a busy first 4 hours or 3 hours, 3.5 hours, depending on the schedule. So, yeah, basically, that is pretty much where that's pretty much where I'm at right now. Like I said, as far as doing my live streams, games, and all that. And if I do them, it'll be early in the morning. Like this Wednesday actually, I have that day off. My schedule, at least for next week and the week after, unless it changes after today. Like I said, unless it's changing, after today, my Wednesdays for the next 2 weeks, I'll be off. Again, that could change today. Depending on the outcome, of not the outcome, but depending on how things are, worked around. Basically, and it's early. It's about 6:40 a.m. But so I do apologize if I'm stumbling over my words. But anyway, like I said, basically today, not today, but after today, I have a better idea of exactly what my schedule will be. Because like I said, right now, Wednesday, the next 2 Wednesdays, I'll be off. But again, that could change, and that could affect my live streaming as well. But yeah, just a lot of personal family stuff coming up that I don't want to discuss. I don't want to go any further into, but just let you know that that's going to be coming up, and that could interfere with some of my videoing over the next week or so. Not saying it will, not saying it won't, but I'm just letting you know a lot of family things are going to be occurring in the next in the next week or so, just to let you know. Again, it may not interfere. Like I said, during lunch, I like to catch a breeze a little bit, collect myself before I do a video or before I get something to eat. Or if I'm really hungry, I'll get something to eat, and then I'll just walk around, let the food kind of digest a little bit, and then maybe do a video, kind of also collect myself again. Because it's all depending on, like I said, how busy we'll be in those first 4.5 hours. And then, like I said, the rest of the week is just short for me. I mean, it's basically 4.5 hour days each day, except for, as of right now, for Wednesday, which I'll be off. So, like I said, for this upcoming week and the next week. But again, that could all change depending on if they need me there, or if they need, depending on if they need help on those days. So again, things could change. They could not change. Like I always say in a video, we'll have to wait and see. And I'm not the only one that says that in a video or in any kind of situation. We'll just have to wait and see. But that's just a common saying people use. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, just some things are coming up that I can't really go into detail about, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And everything. So yeah, some things are coming up that are family related, and again, I'm not going to get into any more than that. Now, as far as the topics go for today, as we are live this morning. As I said, it's past 6:40. It's almost 6:45. So the topics we're going to discuss today, as we get right into the video, are: one, it's 8 topics. Actually, I think it's 8 topics. The first time we've had 8 topics in a while. I've had to shorten them, like I said, due to current situations, if you will. Again, not going to get too much into it. But yeah, the 8 topics we're going to talk about are: 1, IDW's Sonic comic Zombot story arc is finally coming to an end this month. That's the first one we're going to talk about. The second one kind of connects to Sonic, but it's a big question because if you go on my channel here, you'll notice that one of my more recent videos I did 2 days after the 4th on 6th, and it was a video that I actually did during my last 15-20 minutes of lunch. I did a video on, how fans were not to worry about the whole Sparity situation, which is short for Spike and Rarity, when it came to last Sunday's 11-minute short, Bad Things #3, which centered around Rarity going on a stroll date with Fancy Pants and then finding out that Fancy Pants is just a self-absorbed jerk. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I did a video on that. And on the same day when I uploaded that, earlier that morning, I mean really earlier that morning, I did a live stream on the whole Rally for Sally deal, which, where where a lot of fans are coming out of the blue ever since the announcement that Tangle the Lemur and Whisper the Wolf were going to be part of Sonic Dash and Sonic Forces Speed Battle, the mobile games. A lot of fans have been coming out and doing hashtag Rally for Sally to try to get Sega and those in charge to incorporate her into the games as well, because to them, it's only fair that if you're going to put these 2 characters that debuted in the IDW comics first and foremost, if you're going to put them into the games now 2 years later, then it's only fair that you put somebody in there that's been with the franchise since almost the beginning in Sally Acorn. So yeah, I did that video way before I did this one, early in the morning on that day. I mean, really early on the morning on the 6th. I know I sound like I rambled there. I do apologize. But apparently the one I did on Sparity got a lot more views. So the number 2 topic is going to be: is MLP's Sparity, Spike and Rarity ship, more popular than or as the SonSal, Sonic and Sally ship from Sonic the Hedgehog? Because I seem to notice that even though the video was about Rally for Sally, I do seem to notice that sometimes the Spike and Rarity ships seem to get just as many, if not more, views than a Sonic and Sally discussion or Sonic and Sally discussion video, or Sonic and Sally AMV or fan vid, it's kind of surprising, like I said, that they kind of get even, but most time it kind of get the even amount of numbers and views, and then sometimes though one takes off further than the other, and I've noticed at times that spike in rarity. So, well, I'll discuss that. And again, sorry if I rambled there, but that's a topic, as strange as it sounds, that I will discuss. Number 3, and I just read about this morning. I was loading up the computer. Number 3, or after I let the computer load up. Number 3, Tessa Blanchard signs with WWE in rumored, I forgot to put the ED, but I'll fix that now. Rumored to debut at the August return of the Evolution pay-per-view, which is the WWE's all-women pay-per-view. So, yeah, there's a report going around by the Inquisitor, Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and several other sources that Tessa Blanchard may have signed with WWE, and the rumor is she's going to be debuting at the Evolution pay-per-view at the end of August. Be interesting to find out. Be interesting to see whether or not that's true. But that's what we're going to discuss with number 3. The number 4 topic, and this is one that's really interesting. Californians, my fellow Californians, want to recall Governor Newsom, but will it succeed? So in case you guys haven't been paying attention, Gavin Newsom, who is the California governor, has been making some decisions that's not been very popular with a lot of the Californians, a lot of my fellow Californians here in the state. It hasn't been, some of the decisions he's been making has not been very popular, and a lot of them feel that he needs to go. He needs to be removed. He needs to be ousted as the governor, because he's not making any sense. He's not making up to them. He's not making any sense. So we'll talk about that. Number 5, the number 5 topic after that is the Batwoman series on the CW finds a new Batwoman. Yes. That's going to be an interesting topic to talk about, because as you know, the girl that played Ruby Rose, I think that's her name. No, not Ruby Rose. Was it Ruby Rose? What was her name? I can't remember. But the actress that originally played Batwoman in the first series, as well as in that big crossover they did, the Crisis crossover. Basically, that woman that played Batwoman in the first seasons, and then, like I said, in the Crisis crossover they did last year, she's gone. She quit. She's no longer playing Batwoman, and now the CW and DC and Warner Brothers had to find a new Batwoman, and they have. We'll talk about that. Number 6, will Atari make it a 3-way console war this late fall, early winter? As you know, for the past several years, Atari's been talking about and developing and finally showing off what their new Atari VCS is going to be like, and how it's going to be, what it's going to be like, what it's going to look like. If you want any more information after this video, I would suggest checking out one of the clips from the recent CU podcast that Pat Contraire and Ian, Pat the NES Punk, did this past weekend. All right, and number 7, this one is very personal for me. Retailers / SuperCenters running low on cash. That's going to be interesting that you guys know about that. And then number 8, the final topic, Netflix Kipo and the Wonder Beast, or the Wonderlust Beast. I think that's the Wonder Beast. Kipo and the Wonder Beast. Correct me if I'm wrong. Proves stories made on the web / internet can succeed in other adaptations. So, yeah, that's the last topic we're going to talk about. And hello, Bugs. Nice to see you in the live chat. But yeah, we're going to talk about that. So without further ado, we're about 15 minutes in. Let's get these topics rolling, shall we? And if you want to chime in the live chat, go ahead. And if you want to chime in after it's all said and done in the comment section, I'd be grateful to see that too. And of course, subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. If you will, you can also check me out at the BW Roses Discussion Podcast, which you can find at your various favorite online audio streaming platforms like Spotify, iTunes, iHeart. Let's see, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Breaker, and a few others. You can find them there as well. I haven't been able to get on Pandora yet. I don't know why. Hopefully someday down the line I will. But anyway, with that said, let's get into topic number 1. And topic number 1, of course, as I mentioned, is IDW's Sonic comic Zombot story arc is finally coming to an end this month. Yes, the Zombot / infected, or story arc is finally coming to an end this month. Now, this story arc has been going on for quite some time in IDW Comics. As a matter of fact, so I can show you very carefully. Maybe. Pull these out for a second. That's at the bottom. Yeah. Okay, so these books, these graphic novels, if you will, these collections, was sent to me courtesy of Frank Hill. Thank you, Frank. Frank Hill, aka It's Frank, here on YouTube. Thank you, Frank, for sending these. He sent me these so that way I can catch up on the series and kind of get an idea of what it's about. And of course, this contains, I think, the first 10 issues or so. And this one, of course, contains the ones that are after. They're basically based on all the different story arcs that were part of it. And this last one right here is when it all started, basically. This is when the story arc started right here. And you can see the name of it. Make sure you can see that. You can see the name of it right there. It's called Infection. And this is where it started. This, again, I think collects all the different issues that ran for a while. So let me see exactly what issues these are. I'm gonna look on Amazon for a second. Okay, so this is volume 4. The 5th volume is already out, and that's Crisis City. So this is volume 4 right here. And let me see what this contains. It contains issues 13 to 16. And so yeah, this is 13 to 16. It's like the first, this is like 13 to 16. And then I'm thinking this is 12, 11, 10, and 9. That makes this 8, 7, 6, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically it's 4 issues each. This is 13 to 16. This contains issues 13 to 16. And basically now we're entering, I think, what issue are we going into? I think we're entering issue 29 is when it's supposed to conclude, which is in a few weeks. So yeah, it's been going on for about, if you count the ending of issue 16, which if I can show you that here. Let's see. Yeah, this actually started, I think, yeah, around issue, it looks like issue 14, I think. It started issue 14. So you're looking at about 15 months, just about 15 months, 15 issues actually of a story. So you're looking at about a year and a half story, a year and 3 months story. So yeah, almost a year and a half, if you will. And it's finally coming to an end, almost 15 issues later. And the reason I bring this up as the first topic is because it sounds like a lot of people that have been reading the comic, especially since the story arc started, are actually looking forward to it finally ending, because this is actually, since the comic went to IDW, as far as I know, the longest story arc, since the move. I mean, when you look at, each of these stories, I mean, yeah, they give you a cliffhanger into the next graphic novels and all that. They give you an idea. But, like this, yeah, it teases you with something else to come and all that. There's no doubt. It teases you with something more to come. There's no doubt about that. But again, you take a look at that, and each of the stories were quick. They were like 4 or 5 issues, and they were quick. The 4 or 5 issues led into the next story arc, which again was another 4 or 5 issues. This one has been constantly just going and going since, I think, issue 14. So when you consider that, issue 14 being like where it started, and then it's finally ending in issue 29, of course you'd be elated. And again, when you have someone like Matt, aka Mega Beatman, who is known for doing his True Blue reviews for Sonic and Mega Man, but mostly Sonic now, kind of sane in his own way. You can just tell in the tone of his voice of his recent review of issue 28. You can tell in the tone of his voice that he almost feels elated that this is now finally coming to an end, because it's like it's gone on too long. And this is a guy that's covered and reviewed issues of Sonic when they were under the Archie license. I mean, for example, the longest story arc that we ever had there, besides, maybe this all combined, and even this, after 252 and all the way up to 258, I think, or something. What was it? 253, 254, 255, 256, all the way up to about 257. It was divided as well. They divided them into their own arcs, kept it containing their own continuity, but it was divided into its own arcs. The last time, like I said, something as long as this went for almost a year, well, over a year, was Iron Dominion. And then one that went way over that was the Mecha Sally arc. And, and speaking of Mecha Sally, and I'll probably do a video on this later, Mecha Sally, that story arc lasted from the final page of 230 all the way to, in the main comic, from issue 230, the ending of 230, mostly throughout 231 and all that, for about 16, 17 issues in the main comic. But then you add in 17 issues of Sonic Universe, which was the spinoff, and that's 34 issues. So what you're looking at essentially, guys, is 2 years combined together, you're looking at 2 years and 10 months, almost 3 years of one story arc crammed within a 1.5 to 2 year span from Archie Comics. And if you think fans got, tired of that, some did, most did, some didn't. How do you think they feel about this? Thinking, okay, when are you going to bring this to an end? And now it's finally coming to an end. And that's the one thing some fans like and dislike, or kind of in the middle, if you will, about Ian Flynn. They know he likes to, recently, over the past several years, if not decade, likes to tell long stories. He likes to tell epic stories in his works. And again, nothing against that whatsoever. If you feel that, hey, telling a long, drawn out story is going to make it epic and it's going to be looked at as your, creme de la creme, your crescendo, your masterpiece, if you will, then, more power to you. Not a problem. More power to you. But you have to also keep in mind that there are those that are not particularly fond of those kind of storytelling, or that kind of storytelling. They're not particularly fond of it. If they were fond of it, they'd be saying, give me more, give me more, give me more. But they're not fond of it. They don't like it. They don't like it. And that's why when I hear the tone in Matt's voice, and it's just my opinion from what I heard, or from what I'm hearing, it's almost like he's elated. He's almost overjoyed at the fact that, oh, thank goodness this is finally coming to an end. We can move on. Because honestly, you can't. And here's the thing about comic books, and mostly those like Sonic's. It falls into a trap that's always spoils the outcome. It always spoils the outcome. We have the issue for the upcoming, we have the cover for the upcoming 2020 annual comic for Sonic by IDW. It shows Tangle in there. It shows those that got infected by the Zombot virus, by the goop, as a part of that group picture. So you're pretty much already spoiling that characters like Tangle, that fans have fallen in love with, are going to be okay. Fan favorites like Shadow is going to be okay. The Chaotix are going to be okay. But to them, it's like you're dragging this on for way too long, and you need to finally put it to rest, because it's just the same thing over and over again. And I think that's why fans are ecstatic that it's finally ending. It's finally coming to an end. Why, like I said, in my opinion, I hear someone like Mega Beatman saying, basically in his own vocalness, if you will, being like, oh, thank goodness this is over. Thank God it's over. Even though he doesn't say it, you can pretty much tell by the tone in his voice, he's happy that it's ending. He's glad it's ending. Again, it's not everybody's cup of tea. Let's make that perfectly clear. Something like that is not everybody's cup of tea, but they will tolerate it. They will accept it. They will read the stories just to kind of see what's going to happen next, if not predict what's going to happen next. And if they can predict what's going to happen, if not be shown what's going to happen, then obviously the story shouldn't be going on for as long as it is. And especially if you have two characters, one of them that has been infected being part of a game or being incorporated into a game, name like Tangle is incorporated into the Sonic Dash and Sonic Forces Speed Battle games, then you're pretty much saying, oh, yeah, she's going to be fine. She's going to be good. It's like, what's the point of even doing that story? What's the point? There is no point. There is none whatsoever. But yeah, the Zombot arc is finally coming to an end in a few weeks. And matter of fact, it's supposed to come to an end by I think July 22nd is the release date, the distributing date for the comic. Now, what's interesting is this comic or this story arc would have ended a few months earlier. It should have ended, I think, around May. It was supposed to end around May, mid-May, late April. It was supposed to come to an end, but because of what's been going on, we're pretty much, again, what I was trying to say is because of what's going on, and I'm trying to link this to some of the groups that some of my topics are related to. But like I said, because of what's going on in the world, especially with this virus, it got delayed. But now it's finally coming out. And again, if it wasn't for the virus, if you will, this would have been over by late April, mid-May. And that's the truth. And anybody watching this knows that to be a fact. They know that's true. But like I said, but getting back on topic, because to say of the topic, yeah, the story arc's finally coming to an end. And again, and look, I'll be honest, I haven't had a chance to really read up on the comics, but thankfully that's why you have somebody like Frank Hill. It's Frank sending me these books, and it allows me to basically do just that. It allows me to catch up on the stories to kind of see where they go. So thank you, Frank, for that. But again, it's mostly the fact. But again, I've myself and Matt Mega Beatman, we've been fans for a long time. We've been reviewers of the comics for a long time, of the Sat AM show for a long time. And the thing is, we're used to and accustomed to shorter stories. It's like you can have a big story arc, but it doesn't have to go for so many issues. You could have it go for such and such issues, if you will, that, as long as it's going to keep people's attention, it's fine. And most of the time, going for such and such issues is basically code for make the story arc 4 to 5 issues, or 6 at the most if you have to, but don't make it for over a year and a half or 2 years. Like I said, I go back to the Mecha Sally arc, and you combine both comic books, Sonic Universe and the main book, and you're looking at a 2.5 year, near 3 year story arc in the span of 2.5 years, in the span of about 2 years. And it's like, it's like, what are you thinking? What are you trying to pull off? What are you trying to accomplish? And everything. And it's like, He's like, what are you trying to accomplish and everything? You trying to do something that's going to tick people off or something? I don't understand. So, yeah, it's like I said, it's just one of those situations to where even if the story arc is good, and there's no doubt people have mixed reactions to it, some probably do find the infection Zombot story arc to be good, that it's pretty much run its course, and that's it. It's pretty much run its course, and I think that's where fans, pretty much feel that, okay, enough's enough. After this, enough's enough. Let's move on. Let's do something else. Let's move on from here. Stuff like that. That's basically how I think they feel. It's not, again, it's not the fact that they don't have a problem with it, okay? It's more along the lines of you can't keep doing this story or continuing it for as long as you want to because you want to. That's basically it. You can't keep doing it because you want to. End of story. But again, I know I sound like I'm rambling because, like I said earlier, it is early. But again, the point is, when you get down to it, when you hear someone that's been reviewing the comics ever since they were part of Archie Comics, basically sounding like he's elated that the story's finally coming to an end, that he says in a tone that makes it sound like he's just happy that this is over with, then it tells you you've run your course. It's time to move on. And if the reports are true and Evan Stanley is coming in to take over as head writer, hopefully we won't have to deal with this again. I mean, yes, we know Evan Stanley's been working on this story on DeviantArt, on this personal story of her own, which she's been posting on DeviantArt on occasions, which focuses on Silver. And we know it's been long, but obviously she's not constantly shoving it in people's faces. She's taking her time with it. And hopefully now, with her taking over, maybe we won't get, a long story arc. Maybe we'll get something that's more along the lines of, oh, okay, this is with a synopsis will basically give us an idea of, oh, okay, this is going to be 4 issues long, and that's it. And then we'll move on to something else. Hopefully that's true. Hopefully that's true, but well, again, as I always say, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what they do with the story arc and how Evan Stanley, when she takes over, how she's going to, build from the ending of this. Because again, you can already tell how things are going to turn out. You can already tell that. You can already see it with your own eyes how things are going to turn out in the end. Heck, you could probably already see it, a few panels where Eggman's going to try to sneak off after, the Deadly Six are finally defeated and everybody's restored. There's no doubt you're going to probably get a panel where you're going to see Eggman try to sneak off, and he's going to get stopped by a restored Shadow or something, or someone, and he's basically going to be forced into admitting, courtesy of Shadow, into admitting why he did what he did with the goop, why he infected everybody the way he did. So you could already see something like that coming. It's just too predictable. Again, it's just too predictable to to kind of not see that happening. But yeah, bringing this topic to a close. And I do apologize if I sound like I'm rambling. Again, it's early. It's about 7:16 a.m. But again, bringing this to a close, yeah, the Zombot arc is finally ending. It's finally coming to an end. And a lot of fans, especially those like Matt Mega Beatman, are elated at the fact that this is finally over. That they don't have to deal with it. They don't have to they don't have to deal with this kind of story arc anymore. And that hopefully afterwards they could focus more on story arcs that are not so long, if you know what I mean. I mean, look, I'll be honest. Nothing against long story arcs if you want to do them. That's fine. You know, again, nothing against long story arcs if you want to do them. That's fine. But if you're going to do a story arc where basically it just is the same thing over and over and over again. Well, not over and over again, but it's basically the same plot over and over again. And as well as you have to, as Matt put in his review of issue 28, you have to cram so many fights into one issue without spacing them out, because you can space out individual fights with individual enemies in a single issue. You can do that. You can do it if you're not in a hurry. And guess what? It works, because you know what? It's been done before. But if it gets to a point where you have to cram and rush in all these fights just to get to your conclusion in the next issue, then that should tell you, the person that's writing the story or working on it, that should tell you, and it should tell anybody else, hey, maybe this is not the best. Maybe doing a story like this is not the best idea, because guess what? You never know when like something like this pandemic could be on the horizon and interfere with your work. It's always best to just limit yourself when it comes to a story arc. You don't have to cram everything. You don't have to, what I'm trying to say is it's best to limit yourself, but don't cram a lot of stuff in to get a lot of stuff featured. You can still space yourself out, but you don't have to go overboard. What you need to do is focus on the more important elements of the story that people are more interested in, instead of doing the same thing over and over. That's just my opinion. And hello, Christopher Walls, nice to see you. But again, that's just my opinion. But again, we'll just leave it at. I'm just gonna end this topic and leave it at that, because here's the thing. I'm just personally happy. Again, I haven't read the story arc yet. I'm probably gonna have to catch up on it, and I will eventually. But like I said, I think I speak for a lot of fans when I say, even if you supported the story arc, and even though if you liked it, you're just glad that it's over with and it's done with as of this month, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Pretty much it. You don't have to worry about it. You said you don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay. So anyway, I'm again sorry if I rambled a little bit. Like I said, it's early. But yeah, all in all, the Zombot story arc is finally coming to an end. And let's just hope that, like I said, when Evan Stanley takes over as head writer, because it's apparently what's going to happen according to reports, that Evan will not go this route that Ian did and just be like, they'll just simplify. And Evan hopefully will just simplify it and say, you know what? These 4 issues are going to focus on what the story is going to be about. out, how it's going to be resolved, and that's it. And we're going to do it in a way that everything fits in perfectly and is not rushed. So hopefully that's what happens. But yeah, the story arc, the Zombot arc, is finally coming to an end as of and hello Z Tales 327. Nice to see you here this morning. But yeah, the Zombot arc is finally coming to an end. Like I said, it started, the infection part with two of the villains being infected started around, I think, issue 14, and now it's finally concluding in issue 29 this month, which is basically 15 issues later, and chronologically, month-wise, is about a year and 3 months later, basically almost a year and a half. Would have been done a lot sooner if it wasn't for it would have been finished a lot sooner if it wasn't for this pandemic. And I think anybody watching or will be watching later will agree that finally this again, to me, someone that hasn't read the book as much and should, according to what several friends online tell me, this has to be the longest story arc since its inclusion into the IDW publishing. And again, the longest ones before that were the Iron Dominion arc, which went for about a year and a half, if you count the Journey to the West parts in Sonic Universe, as well as probably the one that took the cake on that, the Mecha Sally arc, which ran for a total of 17 issues in the main book and 17 issues in the Universe book, which combined made 34 issues, which was basically about 34 months. Yeah, 34 months. Basically almost 3 years. 2 years, 10 months combined in the span of just a year and almost 2.5 years or 2 years. So, and that's combining, like I said, both the 17 issues of the main comic it was part of and the 17 issues of Universe that it was part of. So yeah, that's quite a long story arc when it was part of Archie. And this right now, this infection story arc, probably going to stand as the longest story arc in the IDW run of Sonic. But let me know what you guys think about what I had to say on that in the live chat and in the comments later on. All right, so our next topic we want to talk about as we move on from here is MLP, My Little Pony, Friendship is Magical, My Little Pony, Pony Life, is MLP's Sparity, which is short for Spike and Rarity, is the Sparity ship more popular than or as the SonSal, which is short for Sonic and Sally ship from Sonic the Hedgehog? I know some of you are probably watching or will be watching and thinking, oh, that's kind of a weird question to ask. But it is true. It is a good question to ask because, as I mentioned at the start, this past Monday, earlier this week, at the beginning of this week anyway, this past Monday, during my final 20 to 15 minutes of lunch, if you will. During my final 15-20 minutes of lunch, I did a video, a 9-minute 25-second video, which I think also contributed to the viewership, on basically saying that if you watch the episode Bad Things #3, if you watched it, I basically said in that video, as a kind of a follow-up to the video I did before that you didn't have nothing to worry about, or that I told you didn't have nothing to worry about. When it came to Rarity's little stroll date with Fancy Pants, because basically in the best of moments that they've been putting up on YouTube, which kind of gives you a sneak peek to upcoming episodes and characters' involvements, basically you kind of already tell right off the bat when they did it for Rarity and they were showing her meeting Fancy Pants or bumping into Fancy Pants. You can kind of already tell that Fancy Pants was basically the Pony Life version of Blue Blood. Now, I know some people would ask, well, didn't anybody ever watch Friendship is Magic that works on this show? Didn't they watch Friendship is Magic? Didn't they know the difference between the two? And I think maybe they did, but I think honestly they just, feel that Fancy Pants, just by the name alone makes him feel very arrogant and very almighty kind of deal. So yeah, I'm not surprised that they kind of made him a hybrid of a hybrid of both characters. Like the hybrid being the character design of Fancy Pants, but combined with the attitude of Blue Blood. So, yeah. Anyway, I did that video, like I said, the day after the episode came out, basically saying that you didn't have nothing to worry about. And earlier that morning, really earlier that morning before I got some sleep, I did a video where I talked about the hashtag rally for Sally deal, because of the fact that fans have over the past week, if not currently still, have been hashtagging on social media, Twitter, Facebook, wherever, for Sally to be included in the Sonic games now, ever since the announcement was made that Tangle the Lemur and Whisper the Wolf from the IDW comics will be included. And this made a lot of fans, kind of, like I say, jump on the bandwagon of being like, hey, wait a minute. If these characters can be included and they debuted in the comics first and foremost, then why not include somebody that's been in the franchise, been in the comics way before them, as well as an animated form? Why not add Sally to the mix? Because, if there's any character more deserving, it's her. So anyway, like I said, I did these two videos separately. Like I said, the Sally one really early in the morning, and then the Sparity one during the last 15, 20 minutes of my lunch. And lo and behold, even though it was done later in the day, like I said, in the last 15, 20 minutes of my lunch, it's gotten more views, honestly, folks, than Sonic and Sally. And that's a surprise. That's a huge surprise, because basically, I'm going to look at it right now. The viewership right now for the Rarity and Spike in Pony Life, because it has a question mark, and when I said I told you had nothing to worry about, done on the 6th of this month, which was earlier this week, right now sits at 217 views. Now the video I did before that, which was a live stream, was also done on the 6th. It's got 163 views. So it makes you wonder, even though that's based on mostly the hashtag rally for Sally deal, it makes you wonder whether or not, possibly, because I even see it sometimes with other videos, whether or not the Spike and Rarity ship is more popular than Sonic and Sally, or is it just as popular? Because I tend to notice at times, whether it's fanvids / AMVs or PMVs I put up of, both ships, I notice at times, as well as others do the same thing, I seem to notice that both get just the same amount of views as the other. Like if somebody puts a video up of Sonic and Sally, I notice that, that gets a lot of views. But when somebody puts a video up of Sparity, Spike and Rarity, that gets the same amount of views, if not more. So you have to ask yourself, are they just as popular? Is Sparity more popular than Sonic and Sally's ship, the SonSal ship, or is it more popular, or is it just as popular? And my honest opinion, I think they're equal. I really do. I think they both have a reason for existing. Both have characters that obviously have a connection, that can relate to each other. So that's kind of cool. Like I said, they got characters that can kind of relate to each other, and connect with each other, and that's kind of cool. And if they need to be foils off each other. So honestly, my opinion, going to make this short and sweet. I think, honestly, both ships, Sparity, Spike and Rarity, Rarity and Spike, and SonSal, Sonic and Sally, or Sally and Sonic, I think are just as popular just as popular from one to the other. I think, if you use the same songs at times in fan vids or PMVs or AMVs, like I've done, they'll get the same amount of views. If not, maybe one might be fortunate enough to get more than the other. But again, the reason I bring this up is because the Spike and Rarity one that I did after I did the Sally one, the live stream on the Sally one, has gotten more views. And it just shows you from a pony perspective, if you're a fan of MLP, with its Friendship with Magical Pony Life, it just shows you, how popular that ship is. And despite how some people may feel about it, it shows you that fans want to see it happen. They want to see it become a reality. It's not, to them, it doesn't matter whether or not, this character is like this or that character is like that. It's something they want to see. They want to see it become a reality, and that's about it. So anyway, in closing on this one, again, trying to make it short and sweet. Like I said, trying to make it short and sweet. That, basically, like I said, and it seems, in my opinion, that both are on equal terms, on equal footing. Because I can remember, even during the comic book days and all that the Sonic and Sally ship would get a lot of views, no matter what the video was. Whether it was a discussion video, whether it was a AMV/fan vid, it would get a lot of views. And now I'm noticing a similarity with Spike and Rarity. So I think they're on equal terms, in my opinion. I really do. I think they're on equal terms, and that's all I'm going to say about it. That's really all I'm going to say about that. So let me know what you guys think in the live chat, and let me know what you guys think in the comments section later on. Okay, so number three we're going to talk about here, our third topic, and that is Tessa Blanchard. Tessa Blanchard signs with WWE and rumored to debut at the August return of the Evolution pay-per-view, which was the WWE's all-women's pay-per-view. So, yeah, that's a rumor. So, yeah, that's a rumor that's going around. I read about that this morning. When I was, looking. When I was after I let the computer warm up, and I was drinking a bit of my coffee here, and I read about that, and it really surprised me because of course, in case you don't know, Tessa was let go by Impact Wrestling due to the fact that she wasn't being a team player. They had asked her to send in some videos and all that to hype up the Slammiversary main event. That didn't happen. And like I said, that didn't happen. And what happened, and basically what happened after that, because she wasn't, like I say, being a team player or anything, wasn't sending in any videos, vignettes, whatever you want to call it. Basically, they fired her. They fired Tessa. They stripped her of the belt. And now the main event is still going to be a 5-way, but they're going to have a mystery opponent be involved in the main event, and it's supposedly going to be somebody that's coming from WWE that's going to be in that role. We don't know who that's going to be just yet. But yeah, Tessa Blanchard was fired by Impact Wrestling for not being a team player when she should have been. So Yeah, she's out of the company, and now the word started getting around who was going to sign her, who was going to sign Tessa to a contract, and obviously the two names that were coming about were, of course, Impact Wrestling and I said with Impact Wrestling and not Impact Wrestling, but the two not Impact because they fired her. What am I saying? My dog's cut up right now, so she's just walking around. But anyway, it was WWE and AEW. They were the two names being tossed about as potential signees for Tessa Blanchard. Well, going to Pro Wrestling Unlimited and the Inquisitor and a few other sources, as of right now, again, just a rumor, it seems like Tessa Blanchard has signed with Pro Wrestling Entertainment, and the rumor is she's set to debut at Evolution, which is the all-women's pay-per-view that WWE puts on, and this year it's going to take place at the end of August instead of October like it did 2 years ago. So yeah, Tessa Blanchard is rumored to not only have signed with WWE, but rumored to be debuting at Evolution because of that. Now, some people might be like, well, why didn't she sign with AEW? You know, her father works there. I think honestly, you know, again, we don't know if this is true or not, her signing with WWE, but it kind of would make sense that she would probably go there. I wouldn't be surprised, my honest opinion, I would not be surprised if she went at the behest of her father, because I think her father probably suggested it or advised her to do it because of the fact that if she goes to AEW and Tully being there, and with Tully there and being her father, that despite how she might come off behind the scenes, she'll still get peripheral treatment. Like, it doesn't matter what she would do, she would still get peripheral treatment, and nobody wants that. So so basically, if this is true, I wouldn't be surprised if her father suggested that she go to WWE and work there and start out there as part of either the NXT brand, maybe the Raw brand, the SmackDown brand, whatever brand needs her the most. Probably made the suggestion she go there, and especially if Charlotte is set to come back around the same time, that does set up things for a possible main event that WWE wants to do on the women's side of things, heading into next year's WrestleMania, the battle of the four daughters of the four horsewomen, or the battle of the horsemen, or the battle of the true horsewomen, that being Charlotte Flair against Tessa Blanchard, if that occurs. But yeah, that's the rumor going around, that Tessa has signed with World Wrestling Entertainment, and she is, because of this signing, is set to debut possibly at the Evolution pay-per-view on August 30th next month. Again, this is all rumor and speculation by the Inquisitor, Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and a few other sources. I don't know if Sean Ross Sapp has talked about it yet. I don't know if Mike Johnson's talked about it yet. Alex, formerly Deluxe Man, but now known as just Alex, he looks at them as being like, his go-to sources for news in wrestling. So anyway, yeah. That's basically the report going on right now, is the fact that, Tessa possibly has signed with WWE and probably could debut because of this at next month's Evolution, at the return of the Evolution pay-per-view, which is set to return next month at the end of August, mostly August 30th. So that sounds like it's going to be really interesting in the long run. So anyway, like I said, what I'm saying is it sounds like it's going to be really interesting in the long run, but it also sounds like, if you want people talking about your company, you want to spread a rumor possibly that, hey, we may have just signed the hottest female wrestler free agent around, if not as recently, to a contract. Now, what's interesting about this, according to the Inquisitor and Pro Wrestling Unlimited, is even though it's rumored that she may have signed, Tessa is kind of keeping a low profile right now. She's basically staying off social media, I guess, as well as denying the rumor. So yeah, Tessa is trying to do her best to try to keep it a low profile until the time is right for the revelation to be made. And again, a lot of people are thinking and believing that revelation will be at Evolution in August. And if this is true, then whoever she feuds with is going to be big. It's going to be a big feud. Now, some people I know might say, well, why didn't she just go to AEW? Again, like I said, it's because maybe I believe, in my opinion, if this is true, her father's the one that suggested she go to WWE so that there's no favoritism given to her because she's Tully Blanchard's daughter, despite how she may come off backstage. And also, I'm thinking maybe he's suggesting, again, my opinion, not saying it's true, I'm thinking Tully may have made the suggestion because even though AEW's a year and a half old right now, that they're still new to the business, that they're still new to the wrestling business, the Khan family's still new to the wrestling business, and that they're not used to having somebody with a reputation in the locker room for, being bipolar or being a certain way here and there. And that maybe the WWE and mostly the NXT brand, maybe the Raw brand, whatever, is better suited for her because at least in those locker rooms with the right people behind her, she could be, reeled in. She can be lassoed in to, follow the rules and not make a jerk of herself or anything like that. So yeah, Tessa Blanchard apparently has signed with the company. And again, going back to some people wondering why she didn't go elsewhere because of the way they treated her in the Mae Young Classic, I think once or twice, it's mainly because of the fact that you got to look at someone like Mercedes Martinez. You got to look at her. For a while, when she would make appearances, she was there to put over people. She would look strong, but she would be defeated. Even if it was against somebody that obviously she could beat, they would make her lose. Well, recently, she signed a contract. She's been getting these vignettes, and she made her debut last night at the NXT Great American Bash show, night 2, where on the independent scene, she would have a terrific match with Santana Garrett. There's no doubt about that. But here, Santana Garrett was made to make Mercedes look powerful and dominant. Again, even though these two have probably had classic matches outside of WWE in various independent promotions, Santana here was made to make Mercedes look dominant. And that's probably how I see Tessa being brought in. I see Tessa being brought in to look dominant. That even though the last time you saw her with the WWE in some capacity, she was being jobbed despite looking good in the ring, that now that she's coming in officially as a full-time player, she's going to look dominant. She's going to be given a dominant role. And if they're building, if they want to build towards the battle of the Horsewomen Daughters at a pay-per-view, you got to make someone like Tessa look dominant. There's no doubt about it. So, yeah, Tessa Blanchard. But yeah, in closing, Tessa Blanchard apparently has signed with WWE according to the rumor. It's again just a rumor and speculation. She has signed with WWE. She's keeping a low profile because of it. She's staying off social media and all that. And the rumor is not only did she sign with the company, But part of the deal is that she will debut at the Evolution pay-per-view when it returns in August after a 2-year absence. So we'll see what they do. We'll see what happens if this turns out to be true. And again, I know some fans would be foaming at the mouth for the possibility of matches they could get out of this. I mean, just imagine how fans would feel once Becky Lynch shows up, and if Tessa is on SmackDown or Raw. Imagine, and Becky ends up on one of those brands. Imagine how fans will react if they make the announcement for, or they make Tessa Blanchard Becky's first feud upon her return. Imagine that. So, yeah, a lot of possibilities. But again, as a lot of people say, as I say in my videos, it's a wait-and-see game. But that's the rumor going on right now with Tessa Blanchard and WWE. All right, the next topic to talk about, Californians, my fellow statesmen and women. Californians want to recall Governor Newsom, but will it succeed? Now, if you guys have been paying attention to the news, Newsom, along with other governors around the country, have been making decisions which have kind of been like, sometimes, depending on your governor, it's kind of been like 50-50. Some of it's been 75-25. You get the idea. It's kind of been up and down. It's been in basically the decisions the governors across the country have been making when it comes to this pandemic and this virus, especially as of late, has been in flux. In other words, they don't know exactly what decision they truly want to make. They don't know what decision they really want to go with. And it's just one of those situations to where the people in the state, a lot of people in the state, are getting sick and tired of all these changing of the minds and all that, and they want one decision and one decision only, and that's about it. And the same goes for here in California. A lot of people are not happy with some of the recent decisions that Newsom has made. They're not happy with some of the decisions he's made over the past several years since he's been in office, and they want him gone. They want him gone. Now, according to One American News Network here on YouTube, it was reported that several attempts have been done before to recall him. The last attempt failed to make the ballot. It failed to make the money it needed to get the campaign up and going. But now the third one seems to be on the verge of working. Apparently, there's 8,000, I think, 8,000 or 10,000, probably more by now. 8,000 plus signatures on the online petition to get Newsom out of office. And the way this recall is going to work is if they get enough petitions in there by at least November 10th, then the governor's offices here in California, the state Senate, will do a recall vote. I don't know, something with the state Senate or House or whatever. I guess the state court, the state Supreme Court or something. If there's enough votes, if there's enough signatures given, because they need a certain amount of signatures, I think about 1 million or so, if not more than that, if not more or less than that, to get this on the ballot, and if not on the ballot, to get this to the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court or federal judge, so that they can do a recall vote of whether or not Newsom should belong in office. And apparently this has been going on for quite some time. There's a website called to recall him. A lot of people have, a lot of people, 8.3, a little over 8,000, maybe 10,000 people have already signed. And if that's a sign of people, and if that is a sign of things to come, I should say, then I can definitely say that there is a strong possibility. It may not look like it right now, but there is a strong possibility that it could get into the hands of a federal judge or a state senate, and there's a good chance by the end of this year into next year they can do a revote, a recount, a recount, whatever you call it, of on Newsom. They can do a recount. They can get the people to come out and revote for him again, or do a revote to see whether or not they do want to keep him in office, or they want him gone. They want him out of the picture. The last time, as far as I know, that a recall for a governor here in California occurred was, I think, 2003, 2004. It was with Gary Davis. He was recalled because apparently he wasn't exactly what they were hoping. So Gary Davis, he got recalled. Oh, had to pop my elbow there, crack my elbow. Like when you crack knuckles and all that, you know. Sorry about that. But like I said, Gary Davis was the last time a governor here in California got recalled from office, removed from office due to a recall because he wasn't living up to his job. He wasn't doing the job the folks were wanting, or the people were hoping he would do, or he had promised to do. So yeah, apparently that's what they want to try to. Apparently that's the same. So apparently that's what's going on here with Newsom. They want the people that are trying to get him out of office seem to be possibly on the verge of getting this maybe into the hands of a federal judge, a state senate, maybe even on the ballot, to try to get him out of office once and for all because they feel he's not doing his job. I mean, there are some decisions he has made over the past several weeks that doesn't sit well with people. Like, you know, he's stopping singing and worshiping, and he's stopping singing and talking, I guess, in houses of worship or something. Mostly singing, which is not sitting well with a lot of pastors and religious people, prayer warriors, you name them. It's not sitting well with them, church attendees. You know, it's not sitting well with them at all. So, you know, yeah, they're not too happy about it. I know my pastor's not too happy about it. I think even my pastor said something along the line of, you know, he's out of control. He's out of control. He's, you know, and all that. He's, you know, not in control anymore. He's out of control. So, yeah, you know, a lot of Californians want to recall Newsom. They want to get him out of office. They want somebody in there that will do the job right. Now, I know some people might say, well, this is probably just people that are sick and tired of wearing the mask. They want their lives to get back to normal. They don't want this virus to be even acknowledged anymore. And that's probably true. It's probably a lot of that, too, that they want Newsom to allow them to get back to normal. They want to allow them to get back to normal life. But, you know, apparently that's not going to happen right now. And, you know, with some of the decisions he's making, you know, from a personal point of view, it's making maybe the chances of him being recalled a lot stronger than before. I mean, again, there's probably other governors around the country that have made decisions very similar to Newsom's, if not more so, that are getting the same kind of treatment. But again, the question is, will a recall succeed? The last time it succeeded here in California was in around 2003, 2004 with Gary Davis. But will it happen again? If it happens again, then I can tell you this honestly. If Newsom is planning to run for president, because let's be honest, a lot of the governors that are coming out here and talking about out their states, you know, talking about the status of the states when it comes to this pandemic, you know, they'll talk about the states, but then they'll mostly talk about the nation, you know, itself, as if they're running for president, as if they're campaigning. So, in my honest opinion, if this recall works, it's going to hurt Newsom's chances, because Newsom, again, it's just like a lot of those governors out there that are doing the same thing. When he talks about the status of California during this pandemic, He talks about it, but then he starts talking about the status of the nation as if he's running for president. And again, I always joke about this. I always joke about the fact that if he wanted to, and we can honestly, and I think anybody would agree with this, if he wanted to, he could be like, he could be like at the end of his speeches or his briefings, he could be like, oh, by the way, come November 3rd, you know that little blank spot in your voting pages, vote Newsom 2020. Or if he wants to, when it's all said and done, he can come out and say, oh, by the way, now that everything's back to normal, we're slowly getting back to normal now, I'm letting things reopen. As a thank you, in 4 years, remember to vote Newsom 2024. Heck, somebody even commented that in one of the news articles that that's basically what's going on. He wants to run for he wants to be president. And you could see that. You could just see that in his eyes. And there's a friend of the family that I brought this up to one time during one of the holidays over the past few months. And he said basically, hey, if Newsom does this and he goes on that campaign and he goes on the campaign rally or the campaign trail, he ends up in New Jersey, he's going to get eaten alive. Not physically, but literally, he'll get eaten alive. So, yeah. But yeah, again, will a recall of Gavin Newsom as governor of California work? Will it succeed? I don't know. I don't know if it'll succeed. I don't know if it will, if it will get him out of office. We don't know. As my mom always says, there's a reason for a lot of stuff. There's a reason for a lot of stuff. And one of those, there's a reason. God has a reason for a lot of things. And one of those, and if God has a reason for Newsom being in office, whether you agree with his tactics or you don't, so be it. So be it. He's going to be in office for quite some time. Sorry about that. Just my dog is walking around again, like I said. He's going to be in office for quite some time. But anyway, with that said, let's move on to our next topic. Our next topic is Batwoman. Yes, the CW's Batwoman series finds their new Batwoman. Now, here's the thing. Let me see if I can search this on Twitter here. Hold on. Okay. So, yeah. The person that they have gotten is Javicia Leslie. Javicia Leslie, hope I'm pronouncing that name right, will be the new Batwoman. She will be the new Batwoman in the series. She will be replacing the woman that did Batwoman before. Let me see if I can see who that was. Hold on for a second. Hold on. Let's see if I can find her name. But yeah, she is. Hold on. Get her back. Nothing. Yeah. Sorry about that. Like I said, I'm trying to see who the other one was. Hold on. Yeah, but it's Jevica Leslie. Yeah, Ruby Rose. Ruby Rose was the one that exited. So yeah, a lot of people are kind of mixed about this. And sorry about the delay. I had to let my dog out to go potty. But like I said, some people are kind of mixed about this because especially with what's going on, out there right now. But basically, it's like usually it's like I I don't think we have a pro. I don't think honestly when you think about it, I don't think there's a problem, honestly. To be honest with you, I don't think there's a problem with her with Javica being the new Batwoman. As a matter of fact, when you look here on Twitter, when you type in Batwoman, shows a picture because somebody with some people commented on you know Javica being Batwoman, and they have to remind her, oh, by the way, did you not see the original series? Did you not see who played Catwoman at one point? Does the name Eartha Kitt ring a bell? So yeah, I think some people are trying to say, yeah, they're trying to point out, look, this isn't nothing new. This has been done before in the series. It's nothing new. So yeah, and here's the thing: her character is named Ryan Wilder. Ryan Wilder. She's a former criminal um, that's taken over the mantle of Kate Kane, Ruby Rose's character in Batwoman. How they're going to explain all that, I don't know. I really don't know, but it's going to be interesting. Um, she's supposed to be she's supposed to have a lot of these quirkiness, if you will. So she has these different quirks, if you will. Like she's got a temper. She's goofy at times. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of things about her I think will apply well to the Batwoman character and her Ryan Wild character. And yeah, it's gonna be really interesting in how they incorporate all that into the series. Okay, this is what they portrayed her character as Ryan Wild, Jessica's character, as likable, messy, little goofy, and untamed. So again, it's going to be interesting how they explain how we go from Kate Kane, who's Ruby Rose's character, to Ryan Wild, the Jessica Leslie's character. But yeah, CW's got a new Batwoman. They're happy to have her, and I'm sure a lot of people are happy. And honestly, I think a lot of people are going to be cool with it. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit confusing right now, but I think they'll be fine with it. I think they're going to enjoy it. I really do. And again, what's going to be the interesting part about it is how they're going to explain the switch from Kate Kane to Ryan. It's going to be really really interesting. And some person even brought up even asked the question, um, will this Batwoman don the silver suit that we saw in Mystery of the Batwoman, the animated movie? I don't know. I don't know. It might be. I think it's gonna be really. I think it'll be. I don't know. I think it's gonna be. It's gonna be interesting how they apply how they work the costume into play. Because one thing I will say about Eartha Kitt is, and any other woman that played Catwoman in the '60s version, is they had different costumes for them, different Catwoman costumes that represented, that differentiate them from each other. So I don't know how they're going to do this with Ryan's, with Javaca's, but it's going to be interesting. And honestly, I think it'll work. I think it's going to be a unique take, and I say that in a positive way. I think it's going to be a unique take. She is bisexual, so that covers all the bases there that they need. So, I say more power to them, and see what happens. Okay, so the next one we're going to talk about is, will Atari make it a three-way console war this late fall, early winter? Now, in case you guys don't know, finally there is some visual, if not physical, evidence of the new Atari VCS coming out. Two different versions apparently. One that's going to go for about $399 is being rumored, and the other probably being half of that, which would be about $199. And it's all because of gigabyte size and all that. Like I said, it's all about gigabyte size and all that. But the reason I asked this question is, because of the fact that it's due, according to two different sources. One source being my company's website, and the other being, I think, Atari itself, that it's supposed to come out somewhere between late fall, early winter. That's around the same time that the PS5 and the Xbox Series X is supposed to arrive. So the question obviously is, will Atari make it a three-way console war within that same time period, because they're supposed to bring theirs out at the same time? And I don't know. I mean, obviously, according to Pat Conter, the CU podcast, Pat the NES Funk, there's already visual evidence that it can stream apps like Netflix, Hulu, YouTube. It can do all that. It's got evidence of the games being played on there, so obviously it's there. It's been shown to work. But will it have any impact? Will it have any impact and make it a three-way console war? I know I should say four-way console war, honestly. But we're talking the newer generation. You see, the Switch came out around during the current generation, which is PS4 and Xbox One X or Xbox One. So the Switch is part of the current generation. The new generation is Xbox Series X and PS5. And Atari's jumping in there with the VCS. So the question is, will they make it a three-way war? And, despite, what it's capable of probably doing, I really don't know. Because, you can make something interesting and new, but it doesn't mean it's going to succeed. It doesn't mean it's going to outdo the competition. Especially if your Reliance, or especially if you, not your Reliance, but especially if your reliance is on digital media. Now, I'm not saying digital isn't bad. Streaming isn't bad. It's great. But if that's your main reliance, and the competition you're going up against is giving you not one but two choices, all digital and physical. That's quite the battle you're going to be raging. Now, the only thing I can also think about with the Atari VCS is they're going to hopefully have a slot in there for SD cards, so well, maybe you can play games that you download online on the computer that are not just Atari based, but maybe homebrew, maybe games you can only play on your PC, stuff like that. Like Fighting is Magic. Imagine playing that on the VCS. That kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, how they approach this fall and this winter. So again, getting back to the topic here, will they make it a three-way console war? It's hard to say. I know some people would say no, it's not going to happen. Atari's pretty much going to get dusted in the end, and it's probably true. But I honestly, I would like to see maybe at least for 1 week when the sales numbers come in. I'd like to see for at least 1 week the Atari probably on top at number one, and then maybe down below you have PS5 and Xbox Series X kind of around the number two, maybe number three spot, or at least tied at number two. While Switch, as good as it is at number three. I would like to see that, just to see how people would react. In my opinion, from my opinion, I would just like to see that happen to see how people would react, because I can just imagine someone like Joe Vargas, Angry Joe, looking at that and going like, so this VCS is better than I thought. We should try it out. And he probably will. He'll probably try it out, maybe review some games. Who knows? But it's going to be an interesting system when it comes out. I'm obviously looking into getting one myself. The one I am looking into getting honestly is the Retron 77. I would like to get that because right now that's the closest you're going to get to an actual Atari for high def television. So I would like to get that at least myself. But yeah, I don't know. Real talk would tell me no, they're not going to make it a three-way console war. Real talks tell me they won't make it a three-way console war. And then there's a part of me that thinks they will kind of give it the best shot and maybe put a bit of a fight. Who knows? But I don't know. It's a wait and see game, as far as I'm concerned. It's wait and see, and that's all I can say on it. That's all I can say. Sorry about that. Like I said, it's a wait and see game, and that's all I can say on it. Okay. So our seventh topic we're going to talk about here. Seventh topic we're going to talk about. Okay. Sorry about that. But all right, so the seventh topic we're going to talk about is one that personally I'm kind of dealing with right now at my job, and my job right now is not the only store, retailer, supercenter out there that's dealing with it. And that is the number 7 topic, questionable topic is retailers / supercenters running low on cash. Okay, so we know with the sudden rise of the virus again, supposed sudden rise, depending on what you believe, who you believe. I'm not saying it's not true or anything, not saying that, but again, you gotta take a lot of things that the media lately has been saying with a grain of salt. Again, not saying none of it's true, just saying. Um, but yeah, apparently with the rise of the virus, the rise in the pandemic, banks have been reluctant to give out money to retailers and supercenters because of the virus. So now a lot of stores have to rely on customers providing the cash when they pay for the stuff. Or if you're doing self-checkout, which I can tell you honestly from experience over the past few days, if you're doing self-checkout, hopefully you have your debit card or credit card on hand, because that's the only way you're going to be able to pay for your groceries or your items through self-checkout is by using your debit or credit card. And I can also tell you from experience, personal point of view, over the past few days, customers are not happy about that. And here's the thing: we have signs all over that tells them, look, self-checkout it's cards only right now. We apologize for inconvenience. Hopefully this will be fixed as soon as possible. We even have managers announcing over the HUD and the intercoms by saying, attention customers, we apologize for the inconvenience, but self-checkouts are only debit and credit card only right now, EBT card as well. Basically that's what they do. They have to sometimes go speak on loudspeakers or the intercoms and tell the customers, sorry for the inconvenience, but our self-checkouts are card only / debit / credit / EBT. So we do apologize for the inconvenience. We will try to get it fixed as soon as possible. So yeah, like I said, not a lot of customers are happy about that. Not a lot of them are happy about it. And apparently there are some customers that are, just like pieces of work, if you will, pieces of work that will take advantage of your distractions. They will take advantage of your distractions, knowing that people are going to ask, oh, is this cash? Is that cash? What's going on? You can do all this. That they will literally walk out with a ton of stuff and only pay $1 for it. And that $1 would be for a piece of gum. Because that $1 would be for a piece of gum, and they walk out with more than that. Sorry about that. Just had to check something. But like I said, they walk out with more than that. That's what happened yesterday, apparently, from what I understand. Somebody distracted. Apparently, that's what happened, from what I understand. That basically somebody took advantage of the fact that we were getting distracted with people asking whether or not the machines would take cash. We have to tell them no. People would be scanning too quickly, and the security thing would go off, kind of, alerting us to go, clear it. That people took advantage of that and just took a lot of stuff, paid $1 for it, and that was just for a piece of bubble gum. And hello, Samuel. Oh, nice to see you this morning. Sorry about that. I had to shut my window for a second. Let me see how this looks. And yeah, sorry for the switch in lighting. But anyway, like I said, they only paid $1 for one item, and they took a lot of other items. And they did this. They took advantage of the fact that people were distracted. They were distracted by what was going on. So, yeah, it's one of those situations to where the inconvenience of the customer sometimes is a low life customer's advantage. So, but yeah, the thing is, my company, my job I work for, are not the only ones dealing with this. Other places like Dollar General are dealing with it. I'm sure Target's dealing with it. I'm sure Kohl's, Safeway, Lucky's, Macy's, they're all dealing with it. They're all dealing with this, and I don't know if this is just limited to the state of certain parts of the state of California, or other states are going through this as well with their retailers and SuperCenters. But yeah, companies like mine right now are currently low on cash, especially when it comes to the self checkouts. So again, that's why when customers come in, we have a sign up that says, as soon as they come in, hopefully they use self checkout. Hopefully they read the sign that tells them, "Hey, we're sorry for the inconvenience. Here's why this is going on." And hopefully they understand and they work with us on that. Some do, some don't. In fact, one customer we had yesterday went from one of the self-checkout belt lanes, because we have like 3 belt lanes where they can put the stuff on a belt just like they do at a regular cashier register. And he asked if it took cash. I had to say no. They take cards, all of them. He goes into the bullpen, as we call it, where the other self-checkout things are. The other self-checkout registers are. And even despite the fact that I told him all the self-checkouts are card only, I should say, he still wanted to use that other one. So it's like people need to read the signs. They need to read signs. They need to understand, look, we're telling you this for a reason. We're not trying to inconvenience you. We're telling you this for a reason. So yeah, but yeah, we're low on cash right now, all because of what's going on. The banks, because of the rise, the sudden spikes, if you will, of the virus, have decided to hold off on giving money to the stores when they need them. I mean, I can't tell you how many times yesterday that myself and my fellow associates was scratching the bottom of the barrel, if you will, when it came to giving customers change. If the customers got, like, let's say $3.75 back, we had to give them 4 and apologize or explain why we were doing it and apologize for the inconvenience. I'm sure they didn't mind getting a quarter more back if it was $3.75, and a quarter more basically gives them $1. I don't think they minded that. But still, it's like it shortens us financially, but it shortens us financially, but there's not much we can do. And again, like I said, it's not just my job; it's other jobs. I'm pretty sure around the place. I mean, somebody put on one of the neighborhood watch pages on Facebook. They said, "Hey, Dollar General is going through the same thing. So if Dollar General is going through it, I'm sure the Save Mart right next door to them is going through it. I'm sure the what is it? I'm trying to think. I'm sure AT&T and T-Mobile that are in the same vicinity are going through it. I'm sure Macy's is going through it. I'm sure Kohl's is going through it. I'm sure Target's going through it. I'm sure Lucky, Safeway, I'm sure all of them are going through it here in certain parts of California because of the sudden spike in the virus. And a lot of people, from what I understand, find that ridiculous. They think that's stupid because if ATMs are going to give the people money, then why won't the banks give the companies or the stores that need them money? I don't get it. They don't get it. They don't see the sense in that. But again, it's all because of the virus spike. And like I said, there's a lot of people that are not happy about this because they're used to paying they're used to paying with cash. They'll only use the card if they have to, but they're used to paying with cash. That's about it. So, yeah, are we running low on cash right now? Are we running low on cash? Right now, yeah, we basically are, but it's not on purpose. It's basically because of what's going on. Again, I don't know if it's just certain parts of California, certain counties and stuff here in California that are going through it, or if it's the entire state. I don't know if other states and their counties, certain counties in their area. Or what I'm trying to say is, I don't know if certain states and their counties that they have, or certain counties and other states, I should say, are going through it. But all I know right now is the county I'm in, the county where my store is located at, that I work at, it's going through it along with some other stores. Hopefully it won't be long, and maybe by today when I clock in a few hours, maybe we might have some money. Who knows? Just pray we do. Especially on a Friday. Yeah. Just pray and hope we do. That's all we can ask. Okay, so the last topic we're going to talk about here. The last topic we're going to talk about is Netflix Kipo and the Wonder Beast, or Kipo as I call it, proves stories made on the web/internet can succeed in other adaptations. And yeah, there's no doubt. Kipo has been going on for 2 seasons, apparently, and it's become a runaway hit for Netflix. The second season, from what Mad Munchkin and others have talked about, has really taken off. It's gotten more in depth about who Kipo is, where she came from, her abilities and powers she now has, and the fact that one of those powers, the main one, transforms her into a jaguar, a real jaguar, and then if pushed to a certain limit, into a mega jaguar. And the conflict, and what's interesting, what makes these transformations, or morphs, if you will, interesting, is the struggle she has. Because once she goes into jaguar form, it takes the help of her friends to remind her who she is, to restore her back to normal, to get her back into a human form. Because when she goes into jaguar form, the jaguar takes over. Personality-wise, it takes over. It's like it's doing the right thing, and it's standing up for her friends, but it's taking control. It's basically taking control of her life. Like it's basically, keeping her within the mindset. Like it's keeping her from taking control, and because it wants to be the dominant force. It wants to be the dominant force, or the dominant entity. And again, like I said, it takes her friends to help remind her who she is. And some people who have seen the series have said that they predict in the 3rd season, which there should be, that there's going to be an episode or 2 where Kipo morphs into the Jaguar, maybe even the Mega Jaguar, and gets stuck like that for an episode or two till her friends can restore her. So, or maybe there's a mutual agreement. I've my thought process is, knowing how a series like this could go, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a kind of like a balancing out of both personalities, to where when she finally gets control of all of her transformations, even into Jaguar form, she'll still be able to communicate with them. She'll still be able to talk with them. As if it's, she's still in her human form, but she's in her Jaguar form. I wouldn't put it past DreamWorks to do something like that. I wouldn't. Would you? Would you put it past them? I wouldn't. So I think, so I think, so honestly, I feel that that's probably what they'll do. That they may, like one person said, may go the route where she gets stuck in her Jaguar form. But in the end, there will be a balancing of both personalities, a blending of it, to where she'll kind of have mutual control, and she'll be able to communicate with her friends even in Jaguar form, as if she's always, as if she's still standing there with them in human form, because she's talking to them in Jaguar form. Who knows? But anyway, I bring this up because it just proves that anybody, and I mean anybody, can get anybody nowadays, if given a good presentation, can take those stories that they create on the web and on the internet and present them to Netflix, to a company like Netflix, a company like DreamWorks, a company like Hulu, HBO Max, and possibly make them into a reality. I've talked about this before. Mr. Internet Man on DeviantArt, along with Minor Dash Alterations, and Jack Lagur. They have stories of characters with extraordinary abilities that, when you read some of the story adaptations based around them, or the original stories based around them, you could almost picture in your mind what it would look like physically on screen. And let's say someone like Jack Lagur. Jack Lagur has the main story that they do, or one of the main stories, is metamorphosized to malleability. I think that's what it is. Metamorphosized to malleability. And it focuses on a character called Briella, who gains the ability to turn herself into anything she wants. She can melt down into a puddle of goop and relax that way, take a ooze nap, as she says. She can change into any kind of animal, any inanimate object, and enjoy the experience of being said animal, enjoy the experience of being said inanimate object, stuff like that. She even has it's called metamorphosis to malleability, and he just published his 125th chapter on it, or 125th shift, as he calls it, that being Jack Lacour. But anyway, she could do all that, and she's also LGBTQ. The character is. She has a girlfriend named Crystal, and let's just say in recent chapters, in the past month or so, Jack Lacour has written them into very erotic situations. And when I mean erotic, let's just say, imagine seeing that on the screen imagine visually seeing that on the screen if it was to be made into an animated series as such. That's basically what you could. That's basically what a story series like Metamorphosized to Malleability could be like. Let's say if Hulu took interest, or if HBO Max took interest, or even Netflix took interest. The same with another series they do called Family Unlimited, which is inspired, where the main character is inspired by the DC character Clayface, but they're not Clayface, they just have the abilities. And the recent chapter, or one of the recent chapters, had the character discover that they can split in two with two different personalities attached. So it's interesting. Interesting stories. And then you get to Mr. Internet Man and even Minor Dash Alterations. Both of them have stories based on a character called Demonica. And she's the mischievous demon elf alter ego of a college student named Veronica, who discovers a lipstick called Nightshade that turns her into the mischievous demon elf that, by doing so, allows her the powers and abilities to do anything she wants, to become anyone she wants, to become anything she wants, to, as I said with the Briella character, melt to a puddle of goop, whatever. She can do a lot of that. She can split herself into different versions. Stuff like that. So if she wants so let's say it's raining and she wants to have a fun time, she can split herself, she can turn herself into Veronica, can change into Demonica can change into 3 different human versions of these, I guess you could say, how do I put it? I wouldn't say they're Playboy-like characters. Basically, as Demonica, she can change herself into these a femme fatale-like character, and then by doing so, split herself into different versions of said femme fatale character, maybe with different hairstyles and maybe a different facial feature here and there, and then go on and have their fun. You also have a character called Rebecca who has similar powers, or has a similar lipstick, and turns her into a mischievous demon elf called Erotica, who has the same abilities. And heck, you've had times where those two characters have fused together to become Zia or Angela or stuff like that. So yeah, you have stories like that if you have a character like that, and then on top of that, if you have a story series based on said character, written by a colleague like Minor Dash Alterations is doing, with Mr. Internet Man's characters, and you read the stories again, just like with Jack LaCourse, you read in your mind, or you visualize in your mind, hey, this could be pretty good as a show. So you can imagine someone like a Netflix or HBO Max or Hulu picking something like that, picking a series like that up based around Demonica, and going and running with it and making the best of it. Same with Grape Athenia, who I've been a fan of for a while, and Tile Grey Wolf, who I've been a fan of, did these stories on, did all kinds of stories themselves. So in fact, if I can find it here, hold on for a sec. Go to favorites. Said favorites. Like Grape Athenia has done a series called What Dreams May Become, and I'm trying to think where she's at right now on it. She's at chapter 17. That's the last one she's done. Because she also does some books that she publishes and sells on Amazon. So Grape Athenia, this story is like one of those kind of stories to where when you read it, you're like, okay, I could imagine that in my mind, visualize that in my mind as being something I would like to see on the big screen or on the small screen. And again, a company like Netflix, DreamWorks, I don't think wouldn't have a problem doing that. I don't think they would. Or HBO Max or Hulu, I don't think they would have a problem. Same with another one that they like to do. Yes, sorry. Like I said, there's another one that Grape Athenia likes to do. It's called Potion Place, called Potion Place / Gina, or Potion Place, Gina. And some of the stories were actually commissioned by me a little bit, and some were created originally by her. So again, you read these stories, and you're like, I can visually imagine. You can just visually imagine what they would look like on a television or something like that. You can just imagine that. So, and Tyler Greywolf, he basically took the mantle up with doing a spin-off called Ultimate Potion Vacation, which takes one of the characters called Caroline, has a meet up with a character named Ryan, and let's just say they go from there. They have fun from there. So it's so yeah, and again, you can just visualize what they would look like, on screen. He even has a series. Dial Grey Wolf even has a series called Bottle of Dreams. And again, I was, and here's what I mean by visualizing what it would look like. I was reading one of them last night, and while I was laying down, and I just visualized what it would look like in my mind on a screen, on television. So yeah, when I look at something like Kipo, and I hear that it's a series that started as a web comic, and it's become such a huge hit on Netflix courtesy of Netflix and DreamWorks. Because of its story and its characters, I can just imagine in my mind what something like the Demonica story series by Minor Dash Alterations, which is based on the character by Mr. Internet Man, what that could look like. I can imagine what the metamorphosized to malleability would look like. I can imagine the Unlimited series, Becoming Unlimited, Family Unlimited series could look like. I can imagine what the What Dreams May Become series could look like. Stuff like that. Potion Place could look like. The model in the Symbiont, that's only in its 3rd chapter right now, but I can imagine what that could look like. All these kind of things. And it just takes the time and effort to present those ideas to someone like a Netflix, to someone like a Hulu, and HBO Max, you name it. And I'm sure they would love it. Any more content they can get to add to the service, to add to the service and everything, to gain more viewers, to gain more subscribers, they'll take it. No matter how weird or crazy, no matter how crazy or weird or innovative or unique it could be, they'll take it. They'll take it. They'll take on the idea, they'll add it to the lineup, and off to the races you'll go. I mean, recently Netflix just added the entire game show series of Supermarket Sweep from the 90s onto the lineup. So what does that tell you? If they're willing to bring that in, a game show from the 90s, to be part of the lineup for a new generation to enjoy, you can't tell me that they won't do the same for any one of the stories I just mentioned. You can't tell me that, because they would. You can't tell me they wouldn't, because they would. And I can see that. I really can. But yeah, that's, to me, even though I haven't seen the series, that's what Netflix Kipo series that's what Netflix Kipo series proves. That stories like this, made from the internet and the web, or the internet / web, can succeed in other adaptations. And for those that, like I said, I just mentioned that I'm fans of, I'm subscribed to, those stories, I believe, could do the same thing. They could visually work. They could visually work in any other kind of medium. And if they would just give Hulu or HBO Max or Netflix a chance and say, hey, look, would you like to do this? Again, I don't think they'll turn them down, because they'll want to add as much content to the lineup as they can, even despite how unusual, weird, or creative it is. So yeah, Netflix Kipo definitely proves that it can be done. And I think it will be done more so in the future with others as we speak. I mean, heck, Grape Hathenia, she might have one of her stories adapted, maybe if she chooses it. Same with Minor Dash Alterations, Mr. Internet Man, you name it. Jack LaCour. They could have it done, but it's up to them to make it happen. And I think, honestly, I'll be honest with you, I don't think they will have to lift a finger. I've got a feeling one of these days, someone from DreamWorks or Netflix or wherever, Hulu, HBO Max, is going to come knocking on their door virtually, and they're going to say, hey, we heard about this series you did on DeviantArt. Would you like to make it into a series on a streaming service? I wouldn't put it past that happen. I would not put it past something like that happening, especially if a service that's new like HBO Max wants to have a lot of content, or a service like Netflix wants to still retain its throne as the dominant streaming service, and it does adding new original content for their service. I don't think they would. I don't think I would put past them either. And the same with Hulu. I don't think I put it past either of them, in my opinion. So anyway, though, yeah, Netflix Kipo definitely proves it can be done, and it can be a success in the long run. So anyway, though, guys, that's pretty much going to do it for today's topics on my mind for this TGIF, the 10th of July, 2020. Thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it. Thank you all for joining me in the live chat. Let me know what your thoughts are on what I had to say on some of the topics. Let me know what you guys had to think about some of the topics I had to talk about in the description. Really would like to hear from you guys. Based on it. And see what your thoughts are on some of the things as well. Wait, is something here? Yeah, but I would like to know what your guys' thoughts are. Down below. Again, like I said, I'd like to know what your guys' thoughts are down below. Comment if you like. Again, thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a good Friday. I am out. God bless. Take care. Peace. Let's just run up to 219, and I am out.